Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to game number 3 of 4 on the evening for the Auzom Premier League Season 2 North American Finals. I'm the Real joined on the casting desk by Cameron Davis, Mustache Dave on desk, and Skyline on production. An incredible first 2 games of this 8-game tournament for the finals here at the Auzom Premier League. Cameron, how are we doing? Halfway through the cast for this evening. We've seen plays coming out left and right. Some pretty big finishes by different teams so far on the evening.
Yeah, absolutely. And because of that, we actually do see the total points between first and eighth. So basically, the top half is just over 100 points, that's not a hard number to recollect to kind of jump up. So FlyQuest all the way down through God Squad, who are first and eighth respectively, like anyone between there, they can still come up with this. It's a tight finish so far at the top. Granted, only 2 games in. Any of these teams can still mount a decent lead, still build up a decent lead, but at the same time, any of these teams could start to falter, could start to really fall down.
Yeah, certainly a lot of room for these leaderboards to develop as games continue to be played. This playing path, though, coming out of the sort of the northeastern part of the main part of Erangel, heading down towards the southwestern portion, a good angle, pretty much just cutting off the military island from any sort of easy access. But we will see our teams spreading out along the main part of Erangel, getting whatever compounds they can get their eyes on. Nerf me, please, for Nova and Lochnar getting a hold of that US, going to be blowing down through Milta. Walter and Binlong, though, for Render Esports have landed, and they're going to be looting Lochnar, and his team are going to opt to continue down south.
Okay, I think I know what happened now to Nova. They dropped in the area that we saw them end up in, just west of farm, to try and find a vehicle and go to Novo, because I believe that is where they usually like to loot up. They were just unable to find a single vehicle in that area. And by the time like they were able to find even one, they got locked into having to stay in the circle. So thankfully, this time around, that is not going to be the case. They found 2 UAZs. Count that, 1, 2. One already on the island, another one mid-transition right now. Little Prodigy is ahead of him, but he's going to be making his way all the way over towards the other side as well. So both these squads are going to be able to make it across that strait onto Sosnovka Island without any real hiccups. Elsewhere on the circle, though, that's 2 teams sharing Yasnaya.
Yeah, 2 teams sharing Yasnaya, indeed, Totality, who have, they like to call Yasnaya their home. They're going to have some visitors on the eastern edge. That's going to be Core 4 sharing Polyana with Vexel for Space Station Gaming. A little bit distant, but nearby, enough to be sort of a threat later on in the game. Purdy already going out to scout, gets a hold of a vehicle, and is going to be heading a little bit more north, back towards that Polyana area, possibly to get a safer loot location, or even a more centralized compound for his squad. But that circle is going to be coming out, and it is going to be favoring the eastern portion of the map. We've got water in play, and not as much land as we've seen in game number 1 and game number 2 of the evening.
It's technically more land than game number 2 if you ignore Sosnovka Island in game number 2. But yeah, there's actually a fair bit of water off the coast. It's a little more than we've seen recently, but there's a lot of area here still, a lot of compounds as well on that eastern coast, even if you don't invest fully onto the coastal compounds themselves, which I can't imagine that too many squads are going to be doing so. I'm interested to see how many squads want to chill up around Stalber. You already have Purdy making his way up here. This area of the map used to be completely ignored, but I think more and more teams are recognizing the usefulness of them, given, like, depending on which individual circle they may be picked up on. But Purdy now, he's actually swinging back down south, perhaps going for a little bit of a scout area around.
Yeah, just flying around. He might have even spotted H-Win down there in the vicinity, but he's going to be
Maybe.
stopping a little bit to the southwest where he was previously heading. Smack dab in between H-Win and Vexel for Space Station Gaming, actually. The other 2 members of Space Station Gaming up in that Kameshki area, which, as you mentioned, an area you really never saw people go to when Kameshki first got implemented. It used to be a dead zone pretty much up there in the northeastern corner of the map before Kameshki got put into the game in one of the patches early on. But with this circle, I expect the western edge to be a little bit chaotic, as those far rotates tend to be, given the fact that this is such an eastern circle. Mr. Blown Apart and his teammate for Render Esports going to be traveling up a little bit north, heading off of that Milta position to secure a compound of their own.
Yeah, actually, a lot of teams already on a really quick transition in this. E United, Mr. Bonaparte from Render Esports doing so. But oh wow, thanks, Mr. PUBG. Uh, Literally no one's gonna be getting this crate.
Yeah, this crate's out there. Hard to spot indeed. It's the AUG. It's the level 3 vest. Uh, you know, not a huge loss. Not a huge loss. The vest is nice, but yeah, it's certainly very far out of the way. And I would expect it to be consumed by the next circle that we're going to be seeing here in about a minute once this blue zone starts to transition towards the first safe zone.
Yeah, basically, that's basically what's gonna happen. A lot of teams still in the Southwest, though, have to transition. And oh, look at this. A little bit of a spread by Core 4. They're getting pinched upon by multiple directions. Vex took a couple of shots at them at Nitrogen already. But look at this other team. More following up from Render Esports, trying to make their way through. It's actually the initial scout of Render Esports, so I take that back. But he's coming through multiple squads, able to avoid a lot of shots. But here comes E United actually just landing in this location. They don't connect too many of those, but nonetheless, this does force those players from Render Esports to go more towards the coast.
Yeah, more towards the coast indeed. E United kind of recognizing the strength that their compound presents, given its centrality in this first safe zone. Very nearby to a lot of other squads, though, so these enemies in the vicinity are going to be aware of these shots, aware of E United's presence. Riem pushing out a little bit north of this compound, going to be taking up shelter in a compound of his own. A little bit split, a 3-1 split for E United, so that's going to be interesting. Totality's Smithy and Interrogate are heading towards Purdy in this dossier. They're slipping, they're sliding, but they are going to be getting there, avoiding any of these possible conflicts to the south.
Ooh, I think Space Station took a shot at two of them, but they're actually taking most of their attention onto FlyQuest Blue already getting knocked down. It's going to be a simple enough res for Microfry here, using that downed vehicle as a cover to do so, but nonetheless, this is still pressure. That's still a bleed out timer. That's gonna be quicker on the next time he does get dropped. We see a train of rotations coming in from the west side now as well. The rest of FlyQuest trying to follow up, and especially Envy making the far rotation. And just north of them, though, is another squad.
Yeah, let's look at the map. Let's look at some of these far rotations that are going to have to happen off of the western edge of Erangel. Some of these teams that sort of put a lot of eggs in their basket for that western side. But we do also have shots actually coming out from Render Esports on the eastern edge, previously getting pushed off of that scouting mission they were doing by E United. Going to be very dangerously close to Set to Destroy, taking some shots at them, as well as Vexel and Space Station Gaming to the west. Totality taking up a little bit of shelter directly to the north. Going to be seeing possibly it's Imagine passing by on this dossier soon.
Yeah, Shoot to Kill, they're coming in that direction. They may try and get onto where Totality is already holding. Adam Dids looping around the top. Don't know if he spotted them right now, but a couple of players of Totality already leaving the buildings to try and gain an angle on him. He does stop. He's out behind a tree, potentially still trying to scout it out, but he spots Taro. Taro sends a couple of shots, but first two bullets from Adam do land. Taro just barely alive now. Adam knows he landed those, and he wants to go on the push, but some pressure from the south side does stop him momentarily as he waits for more backup.
Yeah, and his backup is coming directly behind him, but unfortunately, he gets downed in the process. That's going to be Tony V, the sub, for Totality, connecting with the shots on Adam Dids, getting the down right there. More shots coming on to Adam Dids' teammate, his support right there, and it's Imagine getting down as well, and they are so separated from the rest of their team. It is very bad for them right now. Protege and Uncivils trailing behind a little bit to the northwest, very aware of the situation that their other two teammates have gotten themselves, and Totality coming up with a very clutch engagement.
Uncivils actually knocks himself out trying to land, so Protege's gonna have to go up there and get another revive. And so already really bad start for Shoot to Kill right now. But a very nice hold by Totality as well. They had their players in a very nice position to hold that compound. And while a tree is good cover against one shooter, if anyone is on a wide enough flank, you can easily get shot by like those two angles. You're gonna be seen by at least one of them, and that is why you see teams on I wouldn't even call that one a split, but they are still spread out within the context of the comp that they're in. But look at this is still the first circle. The blue is still closing right now. It was just so far from the corner. Nonetheless, we actually see Cloud9 still looting up North George, should be finishing up soon before they make their late rotation in as well. And then Tempo Storm, they're back to their ways of coming into the circle very, very late.
Yeah, certainly. And one thing to note about that engagement that just occurred with Totality and or I believe, yes, Shoot to Kill, was the fact that I think maybe Adam bit off a little bit more than he could chew, possibly not knowing that the rest of Totality was there to provide that backup. He saw Interrogate, he landed some beautiful shots, but I mean, he was a solo member calling in the backup of just one player. So it's very possible that he might have thought that Totality was in that 2-2 split that we were talking about during the desk between game number 2 and game number 3. Looking now, though, at Duel, K-Mind and Jnark going to be taking up a pretty good compound. They've got the compound rather directly to the north of them, but this hill also provides a great vantage on all of the areas around and has some good defilade to work with also.
Yeah, it's not very central right now. It's just barely inside the edge, but it does give them a lot of information of the surrounding area. Coming into the circle as late as they did, they know that they can't risk coming into a more central position. And so right now they just want to stop at a spot that is inside momentarily, get as much information as they can, and prepare to rotate onto the second circle. But they are definitely not the last. We are still seeing 5 teams mid-rotation. There is enough room on the edges that they're coming from because most teams that are inside are in a more central spot. So they're not going to have to fight. They're not going to be shoulder to shoulder with any other squad just yet. But if they come in too late, and depending on where the circle swings on, that second circle's like really that rotation could be quite impactful.
Yeah, certainly a lot of teams finding themselves very close to one another in the centralized locations of this first zone. The blue zone almost done encroaching on this safe zone. So we will have a new circle in just a second. It's going to be favoring the south central portion of the previous zone, taking out a good bit of water, but still leaving that eastern coast in. A few players are going to have to rotate, but this northern side of this next safe zone is absolutely jam-packed, Cameron. And I expect this to almost present quite the gauntlet for any transitions that come their way.
Yeah, a lot of these teams don't necessarily have to move even though they're not quite central just yet. They can stick around and try and punish other rotations. Here comes Totality right now, trying to bomb in South. Purdy coming in first as the scout, as the guy feeding all the information of where the paths are safe to go. Everyone is swinging around right, though. They know that there's fewer people on the East Coast, but oh no, Totality! Were those wheels taken out? Vegas tried to get an angle, but it seems that it was just broken. While Smithy continues his drive right now, neck and neck with Space Station Gaming. Everyone racing for a new compound, and a lot of people going in towards the coast. We may see some people have to go in towards the Pavka or prison even.
Yeah, some very interesting decisions coming out of these teams. I mean, most of these teams that we're seeing transition right now are teams that were already safe and had secured compounds in the northern side of the zone, possibly recognizing the fact that it was absolutely congested up there is the reasoning behind these fast transitions from some of those teams. But I mean, transitions, something that you want to minimize in these competitive games. So definitely interesting to see all of those coming out, and certainly some dangerous ones. We did see Space Station Gaming, like you mentioned, directly on the left flank of that Totality squad. Caden, beautiful shots coming out and connecting on him. That's going to be Geist for E United, popping Caden off of his motorcycle. Team Envious going to have to figure out how they're going to approach this. It looks like they're going to continue on south, and Geist is going to be aggressively pushing this to secure that kill.
Let's go trying to find a position that he's not spotted, but that's going to be a full down for Team Gates. Envious not able to pick their player back up. They're going to have to play the rest out as 3. But that being said, they did take a casualty, but they're not in a bad spot. They're overlooked by the position held by Space Station Gaming. And so any rotation that they make afterwards is going to be rough, depending on if Space Station Gaming are rotating themselves or not. But for now, it's a central spot, and they can take some shots at other teams trying to rotate around them. But no, they're actually leaving this spot. They don't want this spot at all, but they get punished because they run into someone else. Guys takes out one, tries to get shots on another, but can't finish the job.
Yeah, Jesse Lowell for Envious, who was traveling south, pretty much leaving Caden behind, opted to come back and walked into a death trap as Geist was there pushing on to that down player. And I mean, Jesse's able to get away with his life. Currently, he's going to hit that prone position, trying to hide from Geist for the time being, but Jimmer is pushing up very aggressively as well. This E United squad knows that Jesse is there, and they are going to try to take him out because he could certainly play a spoiler in this position.
Yeah, they definitely want to finish that. We know how Snakes can be at the end game, but even in a position like that, because he is so close to them, but they don't want to overcommit to it either because they are out in the open and there are a couple of compounds that have good angles onto them as well, and so they may need to back off. Vegas trying to swing around the side to find an angle behind that rock, but he's not going to be able to do that. Instead, he backs his vehicle off. Geist also, he's sticking around the area. He's trying to make sure that Jesse can't get out scot-free. And right now, because the rotation phase is more or less finished around them, seems that a lot of the server has settled down and no one is in a position to punish United for this pressure.
Yeah, certainly not yet. We saw Tempo Storm coming in off that western part of the circle. Cloud9 has made their way to the northern part of the circle. Still 16 teams remaining, 56 players alive in game number 3 of the evening for the Auzom Premier League North American Season 2 Finals. Guys still trying to spot out Jesse, being very cautious in his approach, pretty much trying to get a peek on every different angle that Jesse could present from, but he's ultimately going to back off of this, almost realizing that it's a risky endeavor to push this solo player, not really worth it in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, because if he does get taken out, he has no teammate right behind him in order to get that trade, and he's probably going to get finished off. And so it would be like it's a 50-50 split for risk reward in that spot. So he's going to back off. No free kill for Jesse, unfortunately. But both of these teams have to move because the circle swings south once again. Prison is pretty close to center. I don't know if any team's going to want to go on that ridge above Prison because it's on the southern side. But everyone else, nonetheless, most rotations are going to be coming in from the north down.
Yeah, and these teams that we saw rotate early off of that previous circle towards the south from their northern locations, they're rewarded for this, actually, because they're going to have great positions. Now, as the remaining teams in the north are going to have to transition south through these different choke points. Check Shooter for Envy is going to be spotting out Uncivils and the other players for Shoot to Kill, taking a few shots, fending them off from his position, none connecting enough to get any downs. But Protege is going to be bombing through there, getting out of harm's way. Looks like they're going to be going into the actual prison.
It's a rough spot, but at least it's safe for now. Oh, if they can make it, I think they're fine. Where did they go? Okay, they're fine. They're fine. Taking some shots, though. I do want to call attention to Totality's position. They had to bomb in from the north on the previous circle, but they have found themselves such a powerful spot. This split that they have right now between that compound and the rocks east on the east side of Prison, we've seen E United win games off of that. It looks like E United wanted to go back there, but already taken. Jimmer forced into a shack. He does get taken out as well, and here comes the full 4-man squad of Set to Destroy X. But it's going to be a rough move for them because Totality can still see their position.
Yeah, Jimmer very split off from the rest of E United. The other 3 members are in Lepopka outside of the circle. And look at these gatekeepers. We have Team Gate shooting at Envious' Jesse LOL, who can't avoid shots from anywhere. Shots just raining out all over the place, as I believe this is core 4 right here. Waylon and Teflon TV in the buggy trying to evade these shots. Going to be opting for a southern rotation, trying to come around the backside of Prison. And if they continue going, it's going to be a good spot for them because no one is currently occupied that southwestern edge of the Prison Hills, but shots are still ringing out. Totality in a 2-2 split, now very widely separated from their other 2 players, Tony V and Purdy, who are still holding on to that eastern edge of the Prison Cliffs. But look at this gatekeeping being done by Space Station Gaming, spotting Cloud9 off to the northeast, going to be taking as many shots as they can, and Cloud9 is almost stopped in their tracks, trying to figure out how to get out of this. 1 vehicle disabled, 1 still alive. It's going to be that U as their only hope. If it has 4 tires, Moody's going to hop in and try to get out of here.
As for tires, but they're a little damaged, trying to push that vehicle around for some reason, but he's able to make it to the side, picking up solid FPS, and they're going to make another rotation, perhaps. Nope, going back in towards the mainland. Got to swing in towards the north because Elusive did find a safe spot. However, it is overlooked by Team Gates. It's in the woods, and so they do have that vision cover of the trees, of the branches, and they do have a little bit of hard cover as well with the wall of the north of Prison. So this is some place that they can try and sneak through. If they can bound in through the prison area itself, they can put themselves in a position for a better rotation later on, but at least they are safe for now. Looking over here, though, Nova has eyes on the rest of E United. Nerf me, please, trying to send out a couple of shots. Not going to connect too many of them, but it does stall Geist and Riem setting up in that shack.
Yeah, Geist and Ream unable to continue that transition with Vegas. Nerf me, please, with the beautiful sights onto that shack. Locknarb in a position to spoil this as well on the south side of this land. Dune and the other remaining member of this squad are going to be popping off at Vegas. That card taken very low and explodes and kills Vegas. Totality's Purdy getting credit for that kill on the eastern edge of the cliffs of Prison. So, you know, shots coming out from everywhere. These players are all close enough to one another where they're getting third partied at this point in the game. Blue zone is almost done, and it is done now. New circle is out, going to be favoring Totality's position. And in this 2-2 split, this is almost what we were talking about in desk between game 2 and game 3. The more real estate that you're able to occupy, the better if you can execute these 2-2 splits, Cameron.
Well, they're actually moving back into a group of 4 right now because this split is way too separated for a circle of this size, and they can get overwhelmed on either of those 2 positions. So right now they're grouping back onto 1, and this compound is still very powerful in this circle. So even if they're all together and like they can gain enough map control out of just that single spot that it's worth it to not put the rest of the players at risk by being split like that. But look at all these rotations coming in. We got FlyQuest coming in from the west. We got another team coming in from the north. It's going to be Space Station Gaming actually on the far north, but rather up close, it's going to be woo! That's Team Gates coming in, crashing in onto Envious, and I think Envious are fully wiped now.
Yeah, they're going to be out of the game. 14 teams remaining, 48 players alive. Totality now in the 4-man death ball, raining out shots onto Rift, and the rest is set to destroy to the northwest. Team Gates very close by to the direct north of that position. H-Win trying to rotate off of this compound while Benlong from Render Esports tries to rain down some shots and connect with the other teammates of Space Station Gaming. Going to have to rotate off of this position, but D-Master actually gets downed in the process. Benlong connecting with the M416.
The revive is going to get through, but the blue is moving in onto them, so they're going to have to move. They have vehicles at their disposal to get out of them quickly, but it's going to be a rough rotation either way. D-Master can't even get the heal off before the blue overtakes him, so he's going to have to run on foot. They do have a player farther out to try and give some covering fire as they make the run, but they're going to be running directly into Team Gates. Back here on the south now, in the lumber mill area, we have a couple of teams crashing into it with each other. It's going to be Duel versus Tempo Storm versus Core 4, so it's actually a group of 3. When I say Core 4, it's really just one of them caught in the middle of these 2 full squads fighting, but both of these squads are pressured by the blue while they fight each other, and because of that, it looks like Duel are actually backing off.
Yeah, gonna have to push off of the southern edge, and possibly one of these teams is gonna find themselves rotating into the God Squad, who is opting to hold these cliffs here in the prison. I believe they're actually in the prison proper, not up on the cliffs unless they rotated out while they were off screen. But Tempo Storm, a 4-man squad, still rotating off of this engagement, disengaging fully, opting for that eastern rotation. Need to be careful though, because they are going to be running into Nova if they continue up to the north.
Yeah, Nova looking at their position right now. They're trying to peek back, see if they can't get any information. They may have spotted Richie. They definitely spotted his buggy, and that is not where buggy spawns, so they should know where he is. Oh, sending a couple shots out, but Zampa takes 2 minions in return, and he actually gets dropped. They're actually taking shots from multiple sides because the Duel have an angle, continue to have an angle onto them as well.
Yes, certainly they do. Teflon TV, the remaining member for Core 4, still in the blue zone, possibly waiting for some of this to die down and give him an opening into this rotation. But it's going to be dangerous indeed. K-Mind for Duel is going to be diverting his attention over to the east towards this Tempo Storm squad that's just absolutely getting obliterated right now. Zampa is going to be down. Nova aiming down on them as well. BenQ5 trying to get out of the blue zone but it's taken down to about 60% health, and the blue zone is going to be taking away at his health as well. Nova just waiting for him to pop up. Locknar retreating to this UAS. Teflon TV, though, still behind this render squad, and that's going to be at the play zone. Takes out Teflon TV. Core 4 going out in 13th place. 12 teams remaining, 38 players alive, Cameron.
Yeah, and Tempo Storm also got dropped as well just immediately before. And look at this circle. It's going to stay relatively central, but it's marginally north, and it's actually a pretty flat circle outside of where FlyQuest are. So FlyQuest on the edge actually have a good spot, but definitely Totality continue to be the winners in circle roulette. But look at FlyQuest right now. They're going to have to come up against multiple teams. You got Pat Caps from the God Squad coming in, but not far to the east is going to be Duel continuing their trek. Was up and now back down this hill, and this could be a 3-way fight.
Yeah, it definitely could be. It could even be 4 squads engaged on this. They're going to be pushed off in about 30 seconds when the blue zone is going to be coming off of the southern edge, pushing Render as well as Nova and the God Squad off of their positions into these teams who are already holding the southern edge. We've got, I believe, FlyQuest right there on the southern edge, very dangerously close to shoot to kill directly to their west. FlyQuest is going to be actually spotting out Render, taking taking a bunch of shots to their south, downing one member remaining for Duel currently as they try to transition. Blue zone pushing in about 5 seconds.
Yeah, Nova, they're pushing up from the south side, and so they're here just in time to outrun the blue, but they're going to have to push through multiple squads. They can easily finish off Duel if they do catch them unawares, which does seem to be the case, but Landoom can't quite hit his shots, and he takes enough, has to reload, but Pentanil does finally get down by Richie. Landoom finishes that one off, but it's still K-Mine trying to swing from the south. His head may have just barely been seen, but no, okay, yes, he is now taken down by Microfry, but Nova do still have to run into FlyQuest. At the same time, we did see God Squad actually drop down that rock face, make their way through prison, but now they're coming up against the 2 remaining players of Shoot to Kill. They drop one in Protege, and now it's just Uncivils left holding a tight angle through a chain link fence. Spots Caps, lets out a couple of shots, doesn't land any of them, just gives the position away, does get a first drop, but it should be an easy trade. Oh, multiple bullets come in onto his position. Pat Caps running around the side, both getting heals up, but they're all inside the circle, so they don't need to push just yet. A nice nade. This could find a nice connection on a little Prodigy and Drassel.
Yeah, huge nade coming up clutch for Uncivils right there. That's exactly what he needed. He's going to pop the aid and now begin to rotate out of this. This is the opportunity that he needed. I mean, that pretty much the only thing that he could do as a solo player to get out of the escape, or rather the push rather, from the squad behind of these squads that are on the south of the previous circle are having such a hard time transitioning now, as they are finding that most of the squads from the previous circle who were centralized are just gatekeeping the hell out of them.
Yeah, the circles continue to close, and this continues to force Nova up. FlyQuest taking a lot of them out, but Lockdown trying to get one, but no, he is going to get taken down, so it's going to be an easy revive for FlyQuest. Going to stay as 3 alive. They did lose one early in this game, and then Civils right now, he's actually hiding in a tiny little cave that I think I only recently discovered. I don't know if God Squad are aware of his existence. It doesn't usually come into play, but if they don't adequately check for it, he could come up behind them as a backstabber later on in this game. But right now, he just wants to stay safe. This next circle is going to stay still south. Rockface where FlyQuest are on are still inside, but Totality are finally no longer in. And there's actually very few people inside.
Yeah, very few people inside indeed. Wildcard already making a quick rotation on the western edge. Tumai pushing up in the Dacia to get a grasp on the northwestern edge of this next circle. Totality in a good position. FlyQuest also not having to worry about anyone on their flank, as Little Prodigy and the rest of the God Squad cannot get up on those cliffs. Los HD, though, getting dangerously close to where Uncivils is hiding, and possibly almost in the lines of sight of Drassel and the rest of the God Squad down there. But yeah, I mean, Cameron, like you were talking about, Uncivils is in the position you really never see anyone in unless they're a solo player in this specific circle. I mean, if you've got a squad in play, I mean, certainly they're not going to be hanging out right there. So Uncivils certainly shining a spotlight on one of the sneakier locations on their angle.
Homing the side, considering how far on the east side they are, I think they're aware of its position. They may be checking in Uncivils. Oh, yeah, they do check. He does get one down, but immediately traded out. And so he and his team, Shoot to Kill, are going to be going out in 8th place. But they do still have to stall to get the revives, and they're going to have to run around that rock face. So they may end up having to eat maybe a little bit of blue if it closes, but at least for now they're inside, so they may not want to move just yet. Biz does get taken out by Rift, actually, who gets the full-on kill on his position as well. But he is still outside as a tiny crate that he's hiding behind marginally, or at least that he can run up and use as a little piece of cover. But after that, it's going to be open field, and that angle is held down by the rest of Team Gates.
Yeah, Team Gates certainly aware of his presence coming off of this. As soon as he left the tree's cover, he immediately gets fired upon and taken down by Mortify and the other member remaining of Team Gates. Team Gates now having to rotate off of their position, have to get through Fignaldo and VTV, though. The other members of Set to Destroy, who are now aware of their presence. FlyQuest still in a very advantageous position, able to rain shots on all across the map. FlyQuest previously, I believe something, got a kill onto one of the wildcard players. So they're going to be 3 strong now, down from 4 men in that squad. pretty much centralized location, favoring a little bit of the north. But Totality now pushing in off of this eastern edge, still in that 2-2 split though, Cameron.
Yeah, but they've been trying to bound people in one after another using vehicles, and FlyQuest have zeroed in onto their plan right now and have at least stalled 2 people out on the side. But these 2 inside could be enough. If they at least put a little pressure onto FlyQuest and these nades may just do the trick, it could allow for the rest of their teammates to come in. That nade, oh, Blue's running away. It should be far enough away right now. Yeah, so it doesn't seem to find its connection. And I don't think Totality are going to want to push up directly onto FlyQuest, because that means that they're going to be available to shots from everywhere else. But look at this hard swing away from everyone, directly on top of Wildcard.
Yep, and FlyQuest something spotting Tony V. Tony trying to rotate into this next circle. Wildcard absolutely favored in this, dropping dead center on top of them. The other 3 remaining squads currently in the lobby are going to have to rotate off of their previous positions, and everyone knows where everyone is. FlyQuest trying to play spoiler on this Totality squad, still in a little bit of a split now, very split actually. They aren't that near each other, still holding down that pretty much eastern edge of the previous circle. But FlyQuest, 4 men strong, need to be worried about how they're going to rotate in with so many squads there.
I like this by Totality. They have Purdy, who snuck his way into the edge of the next zone, but they left another player, Tony V, down on the side. If FlyQuest aren't aware of this, when they make their own rotation north, which they're going to have to do so soon, they could get caught off guard. They're being distracted marginally by the other 2 eastern players of Totality trying to rotate up themselves. But here is Tony V continuing to push up on the flank, moving slow. Don't know if he's going to be heard just yet, but Microfry is holding that angle, so he's aware of the potential stab. Shots come through. Microfry taken down to half HP. Tony continues to hold the angle, but he's actually getting taken out from somewhere else. So this allows Tony V to push up away from them. FlyQuest continuing to take a lot of damage. It's just something, and Blue still up right now. Blue does find one, but Tony V is on the push onto this next location. Does get the drop onto Blue.
Yeah, Totality absolutely dominating these late game. Teammates able to help Tony B out with Microfry up there to the south on the cliffs right there. Pat Caps and Drassel from the God Squad now riding this this western part of the previous circle in, as the blue zone is now pushing onto these players, putting a sense of urgency. But Wildcard just sitting pretty in the middle of this circle, waiting for these teams to come off the southern edge. Totality in a very good position on the southeastern edge of this circle, still waiting for FlyQuest and the God Squad to push.
Speedy does get dropped. Something is still being impactful here. Look at the slow crawl by the God Squad. Pride holding the angle, but he's flipping between 2 different spots. So if God Squad have lucky timing on this peek over the ridge, they could get the drop on him. Slowly sneaking forward. They hear gunshots elsewhere, but no, they're discovered. They're found out. Wildcard trying to push onto them. Pat Caps, though, he takes a lot of damage. Drassel's already taken out, and Pat Caps gets a drop onto 1, but Pride should be there easily to finish him off. Gonna lob a couple of grenades. They don't know how much damage they've done to him, but he's just trying to move his position around, but the nade is still close enough to finish him off. They go out in 4th. Totality, though, they're still strong. They're still in a lot of smoke, and FlyQuest down to just something, trying to sneak in, and this next circle has gone pretty much dead center and pretty much, once again, still on Wildcard.
Yeah, that's right, Cameron. 3 squads remaining, 7 players alive. FlyQuest versus Totality versus Wildcard. Something trying to play behind this rock and avoid these 3 members of Totality riding the southeastern edge of the previous circle. Purdy, Tony V, and Smithy still alive. 3 members for Wildcard as well. A 3v1 situation, and Something is finding himself in a tough position right now.
Yeah, he just wants to hope that these 2 larger squads find each other first, and Purdy did get a quick angle onto Kickstart. Didn't send out any shots just yet. It's got to wait for the smoke to clear. They're using the smoke to try and get inside the circle, but that's a long ridge. They're going to have to force themselves down. Wildcard are playing very far forward on this zone. They don't want to allow anyone to get inside it, much less come face to face with them. That's also where the best cover is. Right in the position they have a nice car forward, looking to swing down from Totality. 1 gets dropped. Can Purdy trade back? And actually, it is a full wipe. Totality with the surround on the Wildcard. They get the downs, they get the drops, and Totality win game number 3 with, holy, 17 kills.
Yeah, huge finish for Totality right now, executing off of these circles and their positioning beautifully. I mean, exactly what you wanted to see coming out of this Totality squad, a squad of veteran players that you expect nothing less out of. So a huge first place finish for them. Sharp Shot HD to my Kickstart. Pride Coming in at a second place finish for Wildcard Gaming, Micro Fry and the rest of FlyQuest in a third place, and Pat Caps and the rest of the God Squad in at a fourth place finish. So with that, Cameron, let's get Mustache Dave back in here so we can break down game number 3.
You're muted.